Hidden in the Austrian mountains sits the beautiful town of Hallstatt, but this isn't the real one. It's a nearly identical copy built about 9,000 kilometers away near Hong Kong. And it's not the only one. Across China, replicas of famous places like Paris, London, and Berlin have appeared. By day, these locations attract tourists and wedding photographers, but many become surprisingly quiet at night. That strange emptiness reflects a much bigger story. Across China, millions of homes sit vacant, yet people keep buying more. A decade ago, most buyers were purchasing their first home. Today, second homes make up the majority of purchases, while third home ownership continues to grow. The shocking part is the cost. In Los Angeles, housing averages around $633 per square foot. In Shenzhen, it's over $800. Yet the average annual income in Shenzhen is only around $7,500 compared to roughly $60,000 in Los Angeles. Something clearly seems off. The gap becomes even more surprising when you compare housing costs with local incomes. In many countries, high property prices are usually supported by high salaries. But in parts of China, home values climbed much faster than wages. This created a situation where many families felt pressure to save for years, rely on support from relatives, or buy property early before prices climbed even higher. As more buyers entered the market, demand kept growing, reinforcing the belief that real estate prices would continue rising for years to come. Many people blame aggressive construction policies designed to boost economic growth, but the real story goes deeper than that. China's central government sets national policy, but local governments have their own priorities. And here's the problem. Local governments collect only about 40% of tax revenue while covering around 80% of public spending. That leaves a huge funding gap. To solve it, cities rely heavily on land sales. Rural land can be rezoned into urban land, dramatically increasing its value. Local governments acquire land, reclassify it, and then sell it to developers for much higher prices. This process became one of the biggest sources of local government income. Developers build massive housing projects, while local governments use the revenue to fund infrastructure and public services. Some also create state-owned financing companies that can borrow money using land as collateral. For years, this system generated enormous amounts of cash and fueled rapid economic growth. In some areas, land sales accounted for nearly 40% of government revenue. But there's a catch. The entire model depends on housing prices continuing to rise. For local officials, the system appeared to solve multiple problems at once. Land sales generated revenue, construction created jobs, and new projects boosted economic activity. New roads, shopping centers, office buildings, and residential districts appeared across the country at an incredible pace. Investors saw opportunity, developers saw profit, and local governments gained funding for future projects. The challenge was that each part of the system became increasingly dependent on continued growth. Once construction slows, every participant begins to feel pressure, making it harder to sustain the same pace of expansion. If prices fall, land becomes less valuable, revenues shrink, and debt becomes much harder to manage. But why are people buying so many homes in the first place? Part of the answer is culture and social expectations. Home ownership is often viewed as a major sign of stability and success. Families frequently pool their savings together to help younger generations buy property. China also has one of the highest savings rates in the world. Many households save a large percentage of their income, but investment options can be limited. As a result, real estate became one of the most trusted places to store wealth. Over time, property grew into one of the largest components of household wealth. Rising prices encouraged even more buying, creating a cycle that pushed demand even higher. Chinese buyers have also invested heavily in overseas real estate. In some cities around the world, foreign investment became so significant that local governments introduced special taxes and restrictions. Meanwhile, a strange contradiction remains. Housing is extremely expensive in major cities like Beijing and Hong Kong, yet millions of homes elsewhere remain empty. Many of these properties are located far from major job centers, making them less attractive to residents. Supporters argue that many of these developments are simply preparing for the future. China continues to urbanize, with millions of people moving from rural areas into cities. Some once empty districts, including parts of Shanghai, eventually transformed into thriving economic hubs. Still, important questions remain. Many vacant properties are expensive and out of reach for average workers.
How much do you pay for rent living in San Diego?
Too much. I pay $1,700. I have a room and a bathroom. It's pricey, but I pay for living here in San Diego.
I live in North Park with 3 roommates. We pay around $3,200 for our 3-bedroom apartment.
My rent is only $1,000. I'm moving in February, though. It's going to be about $1,500. So about to get a lot worse.
To 70 years. What happens after those leases expire remains a topic of discussion among economists, investors, and policymakers. Beijing understands these risks. Officials have discussed tighter lending rules, stronger oversight of local finances, and property tax reforms. However, real estate remains deeply connected to China's economy, making major changes difficult. Some analysts believe China can gradually manage these challenges through economic reforms and careful planning. Others argue that years of rapid growth have created risks that may take decades to fully address. The truth is that nobody knows exactly how events will unfold. What makes China's housing market so important is its sheer size. Real estate affects local governments, banks, businesses, investors, and millions of ordinary families. A significant slowdown would not remain limited to one sector. Its effects could spread across large parts of the economy and potentially influence global markets as well. That's why economists around the world continue to watch developments closely. The decisions made over the next decade could shape not future growth, but also broader economic trends worldwide. The coming years will show whether China can successfully balance economic growth with the challenges facing its housing market. Whatever happens, the outcome will likely affect not only China, but the global economy as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Can China successfully navigate its housing challenges, or is a major correction inevitable? Thanks for watching.